Hello all, welcome back to my humble little corner of YouTube. Today I'm going to visit a site that I've been wanting to for some time now. So, come with me, and let's check out the current state of Nutty Putty Cave. Nutty Putty is a hydrothermal cave located west of Utah Lake in Utah County, roughly 60 miles southwest of Salt Lake City. It was first explored in 1960 by expert spelunker Dale Green, and it was named for the soft putty-like material that lines the walls. For years, it was a popular destination for intermediate and experienced cavers alike. Nutty Putty regulars were well aware of its many tight spots, especially the notorious birth canal, a corridor no wider than 14 inches. Novice explorers were wise to only go with someone who had experience with the cave. Anyone even remotely claustrophobic was well to avoid the cave altogether. The most well-known story involving Nutty Putty is the story of a young man named John Jones, who became trapped and tragically passed away in the cave on November 25, 2009. John, a native of Utah, had come home from medical school in Virginia with his pregnant wife and small child to celebrate Thanksgiving with his family. He had grown up exploring caves with his dad and brothers, so he was definitely experienced. But, with more important things occupying his time, it had been a couple of years since he had been in a cave. His brother Josh had organized the outing to Nutty Putty as a fun activity to do, while the family was all together for the holiday. The 11-person group made up of family and friends began exploring the cave around 8 p.m. on November 24th. Eventually, John and Josh broke away from the main group to go find some more challenging routes. John took a tunnel he believed to be the birth canal, but was actually a lesser explored route named Ed's Push, and he became stuck. I'm not going to cover all the details of this story because it has already been covered in depth on various other channels. But all efforts to free John from his stuck position failed, and he passed away where he became trapped on November 25, 2009. Authorities and members of John's family deliberated on options, but it was decided to seal off and close the cave permanently, with John entombed inside. Nutty Putty had been closed many times before. In fact, when John and his family were exploring it, the cave had only been open for 6 months. Other people had also gotten stuck in it, and there had been much debate over the safety of the cave. 6 years before this incident, a 16-year-old boy had gotten stuck in the very same tunnel as John. Fortunately, he was much smaller than John and was able to be pulled out. He spent 3 days recovering in a hospital. Also, the man who discovered Nutty Putty, Dale Green, had also gotten stuck in that same spot. He wasn't quite as far in as John, though, and his friend was able to free him after some time tugging on his legs. I can't imagine being the first to explore a tight tunnel like that, not knowing what lay up ahead. Some people are just wired differently, I guess. Dale had expressed concern about that tunnel, wondering if efforts should have been made to close it off. I'm honestly shocked that there hadn't been some sort of warning posted at the beginning of that specific tunnel. This story has garnered a lot of attention over the years, being labeled as one of the most nightmare-inducing instances in existence. I know there's a lot of curiosity about the current state of the cave, so that's what I'm doing here.
You know, it's a good thing that these dirt roads are pretty mild. I mean, I'm just in a basic Subaru here, and I am more of a Toyota fanboy. I've owned 6 Tacomas and 2 4Runners, but I gotta be slightly impressed. This is a stock Forester, and it's actually doing pretty well. There's been some big dips out here, and a little bit of rock issues, but this car's done pretty well.
Man, Utah is vast. I think it's safe to assume that I'm the only one out here in the middle of nowhere. I sure hope I don't run into any sort of car trouble. Even a flat tire would be a pain to fix on this loose dirt.
car goes, the rest of the way is going to be on foot. So I wanted to drive as close as I could to Nutty Putty, but this trail just starts to get a little hairy for my little basic Subaru. So if I had one of my old Toyota Tacomas, I would have done that no problem. It's like two-wheel drive right there. But I just don't want to push the car and have something break or something like that. It's just not worth it. So we take this trail up here and we go back around, and Nutty Putty is just over on that side of the mountain. So let's get to it.
You see that mountain? That's called Cascade Mountain. I grew up in the shadow of that mountain in a city called Orem. When I was a kid, my scout troop came out here to Nutty Putty a few times. And I gotta tells you, I never joined them. I was terrified of this cave. I knew how cramped and tight it was, even for a small kid. And being claustrophobic with a group of boys who liked to pull pranks, there was no way I was going to venture into this cave. Sure, they made fun of me for wimping out, but I honestly didn't care. I'm happy being called a wimp for not squeezing through that crazy cave. Years later, my adventurous nephew, who's only a few years younger than me, came out here with the youth in his church group. He said he struggled to fit through some of the spaces, and he was pretty thin. So, no thank you. Because the wind was so bad, you couldn't hear anything I was saying. So, I'm dubbing over with my narration. But this is the entrance, adorned with a plaque in memoriam to John and what happened to him here. Authorities blocked the entrance with stone and concrete. Some people, including Dale Green, wanted only the tunnel where John remained to be closed off, rather than the whole cave, but it was decided to close off the whole cave out of respect for John. As you can see, it's not a very big entrance. It's pretty small. Here I am trying to explain to you how windy it is and how it's blowing me around. There were times I was nearly getting pushed over. It was crazy. This is the other plaque dedicated to the rescuers who worked tirelessly to rescue John but were ultimately unsuccessful. It makes you wonder how many other caves and underground caverns there could be around here. The population for the size of the state is pretty small, leaving huge swaths of open land like this. I paid my last respects to John and said goodbye to the cave. I hope his family has found whatever peace they've been able to after this ordeal. I'm sure their faith has helped them tremendously. John and his family are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which teaches a continuation after this life and into eternity. I can imagine and hope that these beliefs gave them strength and comfort in dealing with this tragedy, especially John's wife and young kids. As a father myself, I couldn't imagine the pain that they experienced. I just hope that they've been able to move on as best they can and find happiness and healing. Goodbye, Nutty Putty Cave. I must return back to civilization. It's been great. Thank you all for joining me on this adventure. I hope to make vlogging a regular thing here on this channel. It can be difficult with a family and a career, but I really do enjoy making these videos. See you all in the next one.